my best and my worst. I didn't want it to just be some kind of rah-rah yay raving movie. We could have, which we could have made, but I don't think it would have been as interesting or as true. So it's I think it's a great film. So I really think it's a great film. It's just painful for me personally to watch.
I would say I was with you at your best, but what was your worst?
Drug addiction, just living life with all of the issues, the mental health issues I have, and baggage, and we talk about that, and and then also low points in my career. Like WWE, I thought I'd get be used really well, and then I got used so poorly. It just that I'm preaching to the choir.
Yeah. Do you think you did all those drugs and, lived that life? I don't want to say because of the business or just because like you're masking all the issues that you later learned you have?
Yeah, I think I started out doing them for fun and it just became a crutch.
I mean, we were friends in summer camp. Just because I was popular didn't mean that you weren't unpopular. I liked you. I was the popular kid that liked you.
Yes, you did.
If you just asked me, we would have solved all these issues when we were children.
Didn't know I had them. It's, behavior. Your behavior is. It's like when I found out that I had I knew I had ADD. That goes without saying, but when I found out, and I was pretty sure I had narcissistic personality disorder, but then I found out I had histrionic personality disorder and stuff like that. The histrionic personality disorder is a trickier one. You think relationships are more intimate than they are. You think what else? You feel uncomfortable when you're not the center of attention. Stuff like that, and so when I found you apparently shrinks aren't supposed to tell you what your diagnoses are because it makes people play into them, I guess. But with me, it actually worked to my benefit because it allowed me to realize that I know why I behave that way all my life, and not that it excuses the behavior because it doesn't. But at least now I knew there was a reason why, and I could work to fix it.
But also in our industry, I mean, we all have to be narcissistic, but then if you are, it gets fed to you more because people want to adore
you. Well, you like anything that's fed to you more.
100%. But it is a thing where, it leads into your narcissism because people want to hang with Raven. He's the cool looking guy. He's, all that stuff. And so it does tend to kind of be a crutch.
Yeah, but here's my thing is the more people wanted to be around me, the less I wanted them to be around. And it's like, it's like I wanted people to, it's like you want to be invited to everything, except you don't want to go to half the things you're being invited to. You just want to be invited. You know what I mean?
Right.
Did you find doing this movie and the process of making the movie and maybe being in some uncomfortable positions while making this movie, did you find it therapeutic?
Like the backseat of a Volkswagen?
Like the backseat of a Volkswagen. Not a lot of room. But did you?
I've dealt with all the issues. I'm cool with all of them. None of them bother me anymore. But dealing with them, but rehashing them, and then watching it shown back in the 2-hour condensed package is still pretty painful. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I can imagine. Was there anything that you were uncomfortable with that maybe you thought about not putting in the movie?
No, I wanted to put everything in. I wanted it all, warts and all. I figure also maybe can help people, talk about talk publicly about mental health. People are still, people are becoming, it's more accepting now for people to talk about their mental health issues, but it still isn't as accepted as it should be.
On the other tail of this, proudful moments.
I thought you're gonna list some.
No, it's for you to list what you're like. And by the way, I listened to your Todd comment. It was 139 pieces of sushi. Record where you're talking about me getting mercury poison. It was 80 for dinner and then 60 for breakfast that made me get mercury poison or iodine poison.
I was in the ballpark. Yeah, correct. At first I thought it was $113, but then I went on another podcast and brought it up. And I said, actually, it's 113 pieces, but it's actually
139. Thank you for the accuracy. That's what I'm most proud of. So what were you proud of? I mean, I could list your accomplishments, but if they don't mean anything to you, so like what would be, watching back this, like I always say this, like there's no, and you said it too, there's no Dreamer without Raven. There's no Raven without Dreamer. And then all the characters that we created from that, like that is what I'm very proud of. So for you, like, what are you proud of? Like I say that you got me over.
The double dog collar with the pit bulls because it had everything. The match with Gordy when I made people think that the old Gordy was still around. My first match with Goldberg, because it actually was his first good, really good match, and maybe one of his only 4 good matches. The other 2 being Steiner and DDP, and me again with him on Thursday Night Thunder, which I didn't even remember I had met. It's funny, like I totally forgot about that. And when I was in TNA, Shannon Moore goes, "I love that match you had on Thunder with Goldberg." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "You had a match on?" I said, "No, it was on Raw. It was on Nitro." He goes, "No, it was on Thunder." He goes, and I go, "Really?" And then he showed it to me. I said, "Oh, I don't even remember I did that."
First time viewer.
Yeah, long time listener, first time viewer. The Rhino match at Backlash where he gored the shopping cart and went inside it.
Right.
Yeah, I thought that was probably one of the best hardcore matches ever.
I have to go back and watch it.
You started your career in the late 80s. That was still a part of like the territory system, and you got the opportunity to work in Puerto Rico.
And hang on. But more than that, I'm even more proud, thematically, of the Dreamer Raven feud and the Sandman Raven feud, which I'd put up against any 2 feuds ever. Like those were in the individual moments where the matches I listed, but as far as most proud of, I think, is
that ECW audience to believe, and like. We don't see that anymore in the world of pro wrestling. They pulled the curtain back so far, but you really went to a lot of lengths to make sure that the fans understood the importance of both those feuds, correct?
Yeah, well, it's like the best compliments you could have. The 2 best compliments I figure are this. One is I got into business because of you. And that's it. When people tell me that's as great a compliment as you can get. That, and when they ask other friends of mine or other wrestlers, and they go, "Is Raven really that big a dick in real life?" And they think it'd be an insult, but it's not, because it means they bought my character. My portrayal was so visceral, so real, that they thought that that's who I really am. Which, to an extent, I am, but not only to an extent.
That's what I was going to ask you, because. Like you talked about the issues you were having, and one of them was narcissism. And here you are, you're a professional wrestler, you portrayed this character on TV. Did that bleed into your personal life?
Raven was an outgrowth of me. What happened is life imitated art, but then art started to imitate life. I started to become feeling like I had to live up to Raven, and I probably took it to levels of depravity that that I shouldn't have.
Mhm.
You know,
I mean,
as
Dave,
far as
it's like,
drug use, as far as drug use and whatnot. You know,
you live the gimmick and it happens. But I mean, the Raven character and like was always like he looks the part, he is the part, but like inside he's still that, you know, kid from summer camp that is the insecure one. It's kind of like the story that they're trying to tell with, you know, Jordan Grace and Blake Monroe, where Blake, you're actually the one who has all the fears. You look this perfect package, but you're not perfect. But I mean, when you also talk about living the life, Raven was an amazing details guy. He really and truly was. And like I said, I knew when we were together, he was at his best for detail, simplicities, the littlest nuances. I tell people forever, go back and watch Raven and he would get the most out of nothing, but even like a simple pulling back of his hair meant something. And he did those little nuances that other people never ever would get and still don't get today. Where
he was a hell of a talent.
the right times, he was a pain in the ass too, but that was when he came out.
You know, I mentioned you starting your career in the late 80s when the territory system was still in play. You know, wrestling in Puerto Rico, wrestling in Memphis, Florida, the Pacific Northwest. Was there a favorite territory for you before you made it to
Portland.
the WWF?
Portland.
Portland?
Portland and ECW were my two favorite runs. Portland, we wrestled 6 to 7 nights a week. For 2 years I was there. And you went 15, 20 minutes a night. And I learned how to work. The grappler was a phenomenal worker. He really helped me learn how to craft. And you wouldn't teach it to me. I had to pick his brain. I had to ask the right questions. But I learned so much from him. And Portland was a blast. Portland was so much fun.
And Dave, I mean,
You're home every night. You're in your own bed every night. The average trip was probably 45 miles. Like on Monday and Tuesday there'd be spot shows. Wednesday you'd be in Salem, which is a 45-minute drive one way. Thursday you'd be Thursday you'd be in Salem. Friday you'd be in Eugene, Oregon, which is 105 miles one way. That was a long trip for the territory, which is so short. And then Saturday you'd be in Portland Sports Arena, which is a converted bowling alley that held 3,000 people, and it was loud because it was a bowling alley, so it was low ceiling. You know, compared, you could call spots. You know, like you could probably talk and nobody could hear you because of the sound wall. You know, because of how much noise they make.
When we're talking about a movie, I mean, with Raven, the different times he went to different territories, as well as his character. I mean, it goes.
I can't keep a job.
Well, it also goes to how talented you are. You know,
right? But it also goes to how much of my own self-destructive I am.
Yeah. Okay.
You mentioned ECW. Bully and I were talking ECW on the show yesterday, and he talked about how strong that locker room was. And even today, like, that group that was put in place would still have everybody's back, and how much of a team you guys were. Do you agree with that? As crazy as all of you were, with the exception of Tommy, as crazy as all of you were, was it really that team atmosphere and then it was like an us against them type of attitude?
Yeah, it was. Paulie made the locker room like a team because he saw himself as Vince Lombardi